You've been told death is a mystery. It isn't. Scientists know exactly what happens. Organ by organ, second by second, in precise biological order. The mystery isn't what happens to your body. The mystery is why nobody ever tells you. Because once you know, you can never think about being alive the same way again. Let's start with a number. 30x 7 trillion. That's how many cells are living inside your body right now. Each one doing its job. Each one completely unaware of the others. Your heart muscle contracting. Your neurons firing. Your immune cells patrolling. 37 trillion individual processes running simultaneously, held together by one single thing. A signal. The signal that says, keep going. The moment that signal stops, something remarkable begins. And it begins faster than you think. In the first 15 seconds after your heart stops, your brain loses consciousness. Not slowly, not peacefully. The blood pressure drops, oxygen delivery halts, and your cortex, the part of you that thinks, remembers, and experiences, goes dark. You are gone in every meaningful sense before a minute has passed. But your body is just getting started. By 30 seconds, something called the Agonal Phase begins. Your brainstem, the ancient part of your brain that controls breathing, makes one last attempt. It sends emergency signals to your respiratory muscles. You may gasp once, twice, sometimes more, not because you are trying to breathe, because a system that has run your body for your entire life is refusing to accept that it's over. This is not a sign of life. It is the last echo of one. At the 2-minute mark, your brain cells begin to die. Not all at once, in waves. The neurons that fire most frequently go first. The ones responsible for memory, for language, for the version of yourself you spent your whole life constructing. They burn through their remaining oxygen and collapse. The deeper, older structures hold on longer. Parts of your brain that predate human civilization by millions of years outlast the parts that made you, you. Here's the part that changes things. In 2013, researchers at the University of Michigan placed electrodes in the brains of dying rats and recorded what happened in the seconds after cardiac arrest. What they found was not silence. It was a surge, a massive coordinated wave of gamma oscillations, high-frequency brain activity, more intense than anything recorded during normal waking consciousness. The dying brain wasn't shutting down quietly. It was lighting up. The researchers called it a paradox. The brain, starved of oxygen and blood, producing its most complex electrical activity at the moment of death. They published the results. The scientific community argued about what it meant. They are still arguing. Some researchers believe this surge is purely mechanical. Neurons deprived of oxygen become hyperexcitable. They fire uncontrollably, like a circuit overloading before it blows. A malfunction, not a message. Others aren't so sure, because the surge is not random. It is organized. It follows coherent patterns. The same patterns associated with conscious perception. The same patterns associated with vivid dreaming. And it happens in every animal they have tested. Rats, mice, and in preliminary human studies, the same organized wave has been recorded in dying patients, sometimes persisting for several minutes after the heart stops. Nobody has a clean explanation for why a dying brain would produce its most organized activity at the moment it has the least resources to do so. But we're getting ahead of the body. Back outside the brain, your body is doing something that most people find deeply unsettling when they first learn about it. It is continuing to function, not in ways you would recognize as life, but functioning. Your cells don't know you are dead. They have not received a memo. They are still consuming their remaining oxygen, still running their chemical reactions, still trying to do their jobs. A liver cell in the first hour after death is metabolically active. A skin cell can remain viable for days. Some cells in your corneas can be harvested and transplanted into another person's eyes, up to 12 hours after death. Those cells will go on to function inside a living person, doing exactly what they were built to do, long after everything else has stopped. This is the biological truth that the word death obscures. It is not an event. It is a process, a cascading, sequential, organ-by-organ unwinding that takes hours, sometimes days to complete. Around the 4-hour mark, something called rigor mortis begins. Your muscles, starved of the chemical that keeps them relaxed, start to lock. It begins in the face, the jaw, the eyelids, then moves downward through the neck, the chest, the arms, the legs. By 12 hours, your entire body is rigid. By 48 hours, the same process that caused the locking begins to break down the muscle tissue itself, and the rigidity releases. Forensic scientists use this timeline to calculate time of death. They know which stage you are in. They know how long it has been. Your body, even after it has stopped being you, is still keeping records. And then there's what happens next. And most people stop here. But you should know this. Your immune system, which spent your entire life keeping bacteria out, shuts down. And the bacteria that live inside you, trillions of them, mostly in your gut, begin to expand. They digest you from the inside. Every culture on Earth has developed elaborate rituals around this process. Not because of what it means spiritually, because of what it looks like biologically. And because somewhere deep in our evolutionary memory, we understand that this is what we are. We are temporary. We are borrowed. We are material that the earth is waiting to reclaim. Here is the thing nobody tells you when they talk about death. The atoms in your body right now have existed for billions of years. The carbon in your bones was forged in the heart of a dying star. The iron in your blood was scattered across space in a supernova explosion long before this planet existed. You didn't come from nothing. You were assembled from matter that has been cycling through this universe for longer than the Earth has been here. And when you die, that matter doesn't disappear. It returns into the soil, into the water, into the plants, into the animals that eat the plants, into the people who come after you. Every living thing you have ever seen contains atoms that were once part of something else, something that lived and died and was returned and reassembled into a new form. You are not the first version of these atoms. You will not be the last. And here is the strange comfort in that. The process that feels like an ending is the same process that made the beginning possible. The decomposition that follows your death is what feeds the next generation of life. You are not exiting the system, you are re-entering it. For most of human history, people understood this instinctively. They buried their dead in the ground and grew food above them. They watched the cycle close in real time. They did not separate life and death into opposites. They saw them as the same motion, viewed from different points. We have spent the last century hiding death. Hospitals, funeral homes, sealed caskets, embalming fluid that slows the return. We have built an entire industry around the idea that death is something that happens to you, rather than something you participate in. But your body knows better. It has been preparing for this its entire existence. Every system, every cell, every process that kept you alive was always also a step in a longer sequence, one that does not end with you, one that was running long before you arrived and will continue long after the last person who remembers your name is also gone. You've been told death is a mystery. It isn't. It's just the part of the story nobody wants to read to the end.